Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leak. I'm John as always, and this week we're taking a look at the top 10 Kaladesh inventions for Limited. I don't really talk too much about these because they are ridiculously rare across dozens of Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch drafts, and a couple of boxes and some other tournaments, plus a box of Kaladesh, plus a few sealed tournaments and a couple of drafts. I've opened 0 masterpieces. 0 expeditions, 0 inventions. They are 1 in 144 packs on average, so you may just never, ever see them. However, we are going to do a top 10 list. If you are lucky enough to actually open one, we're going to take a look at the ones that are the best for Limited, for draft, and for sealed. At number 10, we have Aether Vial. Yes, this card is great in older formats, but there you can explicitly build a deck like Merfolk, where the majority of your creatures are a single mana cost. In Merfolk, I think it's usually 2, right? Probably 2. What do I know about Modern? In a draft deck, you're not likely to get that lucky, and if you are, your 2-drops are still going to be mostly miserable, or your 3-drops or whatever. Still, it is really nice to pop down creatures for completely free, well, basically free from your hand, so I think I'd still play an Aether Vial if I got one. I'm not as excited about it as some of the rest in this list, though, as far as playability goes anyways. But number 10, Aether Vial. Number 9 is a new card, Combustible Gearhulk. This is frequently considered by many people to be the worst of the Gearhulks, and I literally can't understand why. I think Cataclysmic Gearhulk is the worst of the Gearhulks. I really like Combustible. I'd probably put this at like 3rd, maybe? Somewhere around there. Combustible's huge, the first strike is massively relevant, and the ability of either getting an Ancestral Recall and drawing 3 cards, or potentially doing a ton of damage to your opponent's face is fantastic. Yeah, you might whiff and hit 3 lands, but 3 lands are off the top of your deck and you have a 6/6 first striker. That's still totally fine by me. I would go in for that, and that's the worst case scenario. So Combustible Gearhulk, I'm all in. Yeah, it's not as expensive or as awesome as some of the other inventions that you could open, but number 9 is Combustible Gearhulk. Number 8 is another Gearhulk. This time we're going to be looking at the Vendurious one. Vendurous? Verduous Gearhulk. I don't really have to really say much about this, right? It's an 8/8 trample for 5. Or is a 4/4 trample, or a 5/5, or a 6/6, or a 7/7, and counters elsewhere. It's ridiculously big. Something like this would never, ever exist back when I started Magic in 95-ish or so. Back then, it would be an 8/8 trample, sure. It would cost you 9 mana, and it would have some ridiculous downside, like if this is tapped at the end of your turn, you lose the game. This is just insanely pushed. It's so good. If you open this, you should be snap picking it, snap going into green. Just, Again, it's not one of the fancy few $100 inventions, but it's one that I'd be pretty happy with, especially in a high-level draft, something like a GP or something like that. So number 8, Verdurous Gearhulk. Number 7 is yet again another Gearhulk. This time it's the last Gearhulk. There's no more after this. And this one is, I think, the best one, hands down. Noxious Gearhulk. Just flat out destroying a creature and getting some life off of it, as well as a 5/4 menace for 6 mana, is just crushing in Limited. Your opponent's going to have such a hard time coming back from that, and you're only going to lose that game if you were already really, really, really behind. As I've said, I would love some of the other inventions. That's why there's, 7 more to go? Yeah, 7 more to go. But still, I would love to open a Noxious Gearhulk, so it does get number 7. Mana Crypt is up next at number 6. As you'll see in the top half of this list, fast mana is amazing. Like, really, really amazing. So amazing they don't even really print it anymore. It used to be downright broken, like Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt getting to come down on turn 1 plus a land means that you're sitting at 3 mana immediately. You do have a 50-50% chance of each turn losing 3 life, but being that far ahead on mana on turn 1 should mean that you'll close out the game way faster than you're going to die from that 3 damage. Yeah, you could get really, really unlucky and lose the coin flip over and over and over and over, and that's why this is only number 6. But still, you'd better be snap playing Mana Crypt if you do open it. Number 5 is some more fast mana, Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox does have the downside of having to imprint a card on it, but being able to throw away a 2-drop or a 3-drop to ramp yourself up a mana is a really solid trade. Like Mana Crypt, this one does have a downside of potentially being unplayable. Mana Crypt later in the game, you might just die if you play it and you lose the coin flip. This, you may just not have a card that you can or are willing to imprint onto it. So there is a downside to it, but it is a Mox. It is 0 mana to make mana, and that is super powerful. Again, Chrome Mox, fast mana, they don't print this stuff anymore, so you should be snap playing it. Number 4 is Scroll Rack. Scroll Rack's a very hard card to play with. It's a high-level card to figure out exactly what you want to be doing with Scroll Rack. So just be warned about that. But it's cheap cost, it's almost negligible activation cost, and the ability to essentially stack your deck every single turn is insane. You will flat out feel like you are cheating when you play Scroll Rack. I've only really played with it on Cube Online, and I've timed out because of it. You just feel like you are cheating at the game, and it's fantastic because it's a card allowing you to do that. I'd be very happy to see this in my pack, so number 4 is Scroll Rack. Number 3 is a bit of a cheat. It's all 3 swords. They have a ranking within themselves, but I'm happy to just put them all as number 3. Randomly having protection from part or potentially all of your opponent's deck is crazy and not really ever printed anymore. +2/+2 for only 2 equip cost, plus a really cool ability on all 3 of them. I think I like Feast and Famine the most, but they're all really, really good and really, really powerful. You should be snap playing this, doesn't matter what color you're in. Although be aware, say you're playing Feast and Famine and it gives pro black-green, and you're black-green, you can't enchant your creature or pump your creature because it has protection from you as well. So keep that in mind, but still, insanely powerful, so good. Number 3, all 3 swords. Well, fast mana is king, and fast mana is number 2 with Mana Vault. You can have 5 mana on turn 2. 5 mana. You play a land, you play Mana Vault, you play a land, 5 mana right then and there. That is so powerful. Having a 5-drop come down 3 turns early is just ridiculous. Yeah, you'll take a damage for a few turns until you can untap it. You may just never untap it. You may win before you have to untap that thing because you have a 5-drop on turn 2. Just insane. This game should be yours. Super crazy. I love it. Mana Vault, number 2. Finally, we wrap this list up with, you guessed it, more fast mana. Sol Ring is the clear number 1 for me. It's 1 mana just like Mana Vault, and it only produces 2 colorless mana, but it has 0 downside. It doesn't ping you for damage. You don't flip a coin. You don't have to imprint a card. You just get 2 mana every single turn that you want it. So powerful. There's a reason that it's a snap first pick in the Vintage Cube. There's a reason I took it out of my cube. There's a reason that it is flat out banned in 1v1 Commander. The player who hits a Sol Ring first is gonna win the game a huge portion of the time. And if you see this, you'd better be A, snap picking it because it's really pretty and valuable, and B, because you stand a good chance by picking that card to win the tournament. Sol Ring, so good. Clearly, for me, and for many people I would think, the number 1 Kaladesh invention to open in draft or sealed. So that's going to wrap it up for the top 10 inventions that you should play and that you would hope to play in draft and sealed. If I missed one that you really think should be on the list, let me know down below. Let me know which you think is number 1. Is it Sol Ring? Is it one of the Gearhulks? Is it Aether Vial? Do you really like Aether Vial? Do you think you can actually build around it? Let me know down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me at Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/The Mana Leak, Twitch.tv/The Mana Leak, and Patreon.com/The Mana Leak. If you do want to send a little bit of backing my way and become an official backer, you can check out all the potential backer rewards that are there. I'll actually be updating them in the next week or so with a couple of more higher level tiers, as well as some other tweaking. So make sure that you do check that out. But as always, if you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.